Well, hello there, everybody. How are you all doing? So good to see you as I am getting all the buttons pushed and all the little clicks here. So it is Tuesday, the day after the madness, and we welcome you. This is a second look. You know who I am, and this is my lovely co-host, Miss Tarina Phoenix. How are you doing, my dear?
I'm doing great. And how are you, Wayne?
Boy, I'm doing much better. I know you and I were talking, I caught something and so yeah, feeling much better. Thank you very much.
Well,
So hope your festive and the holidays are going well for you.
yeah, it was fun. Family time
Mm,
and just
that's what it's really about. Mm.
yeah.
So tribe, first of all, I'll speak favor over us all. Nothing missing, nothing broken. And John Price, we saw
Mm.
your comment, and um, that's we're standing there. You know, his significant other, she had a stroke, and so she's in the hospital, and the doctors are saying that she'll be transitioning, and so in situations like this, you really just have to let your inner spirit, your intuition tell you how to address this in your own thinking. I mean, the thing that I think of is peace, because Trina, within peace, you'll find answers, you'll find direction. Um, I was taught in my religion that there was an expression that there is a peace that surpasses all understanding.
I love that phrase. You've anchored it
Mm,
into my mind and my heart. Thank you.
mm. Yes.
Yeah.
Well, I didn't write it, but it does work, doesn't it? Because I'm right
It's
there with you. I have a
powerful.
gratitude of thank you for
Yeah, I
it.
love it.
Yeah, it's in my spirit, and I'm not, so I don't know, but I know this, I can send love.
Mhm.
Love, love knows all answers are within love,
Yeah,
even peace.
yeah. Mhm.
Yeah. So, John, we send you and your significant other love. And within that, we surround that with your spirit. We speak peace, both to you and to her. And she is ultimately the one that will begin to decide. It is her path, her
Mhm.
journey. And we just speak to that and we respect that.
Yes.
You
Right.
know, sometimes just knowing because there is no time or space in the spirit realm. So if we transfix our hearts and our mind, and you can make whatever imagery you want, but to send that person energy, to send them warmth and love. Yeah. And I do, and I know I've seen it, you know, I've seen people's spirit actually receive that. And there have been some miraculous outcomes in situations like that. So anyway, John, we send you much love, brother. And hey, so anyway, hello everyone in the chat room. So good to
Mhm.
see everybody. I mean, I see Deborah and Esli, Gaia. How are you doing? Mark, good to see you, Lady Ellie. Hello. We got such beautiful people here.
The best.
We really do.
Yeah, the best.
And you know, this is like for me, when we all get together, it's like I don't need a single day to give a present because there's always presence here.
Yeah,
And I mean that both in both tenses,
yeah,
presence and presence.
yeah. You
Yeah,
all are a gift.
it
Yeah.
is. It
You're
is. It's really cool.
yeah, it
Yeah.
really is. It really is.
So, Trina, how's it been going so far, my dear? We got our show is titled What's in Store for 2024. And, next time when we meet next Tuesday, we'll be into 2024.
Yes.
Yeah.
Mhm. It's interesting, we've just entered, we're entering the third degree of the new Aquarian age. So this is the first like trinity of the Aquarian age. So I think this is going to be a powerful, powerful window of transition. I think we're going to see a lot of interesting things in the very near
I think
future.
we are too.
Too.
Trina, you and I were talking, so I'm going to put this to the chat room and to everyone else. Um, the question that you and I were talking. And so I'm just sitting, you can sometimes and you can be walking to someplace and suddenly you're in this meditative state. And so this question came to my mind, and I was thinking, so I was taught in Christianity, my former religion, um, that life was what it's all about. But because of some transgression, um, death came forth. Now, before I lived in fear on that one because death is used as punishment. If you die, it's all over. You won't have the pleasures of the flesh, So death was always viewed as a punishment. But then, as a philosopher of life today, my spirit has to ask the question, so what was created first? I mean, if you're using death as a punishment, then wait a minute. Are you saying you created death before you created life? Because it seems that this death is eternal, whereas life is, it's very small, just a blink of an eye, it says in the Bible. Uh, so the question is, who was first? If death was first, then death would be the natural state. Life would be basically an intrusion upon an already existing dimension, realm, much like light is an intrusion upon darkness. The Bible clearly says, and you can read in any other religious context or even philosophical, is that darkness was first, and out of darkness came light. Well, you could interpret that two different ways. You could say, well, isn't that wonderful? We got life. But in another way, it would say that life is actually the enemy. Light is the intrusion, and therefore would be considered the opponent, the antithesis.
Mm-hmm.
What do you say, dear?
I think there's so many ways my brain goes with that when I
I
look
know
at
it does take you like it's like, wait a
yeah,
minute.
like wow. When I look at life and my first thoughts when is what is first, life or death? I know I have memories before being in my physical body. So that in my consciousness has always been present my entire life, that I knew that when I drop this body that I don't die. I knew that because I remembered being not in this body and being very much alive, more alive than here. So with
Bingo.
connection, I've always known that was the true life, that this was a copy of life that tricked you into consuming death.
So is this death? And what we have been taught is an inversion, that what we're actually doing is that when we're born into this realm, no, what we actually did is that we died in the previous realm to be able to experience this realm. And when that moment of voyaging, my wife works in the hospice industry, they call it that it's not transitioning so much as that you're about to take the voyage. And I love that it stirs up. And so that would then imply that the voyage, as you said, and you and I were talking before we went on, that would imply peace, right? Rest.
I think it implies an adventure. And I think because of your consciousness, we all go on different
No, I
voyages.
think we do. Yeah.
So I
Yeah.
think that's what it is. It's like, what adventure are you going to home to return to? Where are you going with your consciousness? You know, I really think it is. I think it's so specific to each of us. Even the near-death experiences, they're all very similar, but they all are very different at the same time.
They are.
Yeah.
Wow. That's so interesting you bring that up because, I have this book, this great research, and I'm continually keeping up on the research on this, both from clinical and, of course, then also from a philosophical point of view. But you're right. It is appearing that no two people have the same experience.
Nope.
Exactly.
I've
Nope.
never seen two
Hmm.
people heal the same way either, Wayne. It's like watching a miracle every time because nobody does it the same way. It's so beautiful. It's so beautiful. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, it's amazing. Yeah.
I've been, I forget where I read it at, but it was talking about the fact that, particularly in Western culture, that if you look at the way, excuse me, we as a social creature, how we come together, how we form ideas, that we have it backwards in the West because there was a time where many viewed that this was where the test and trials took place. And depending on how that outcome was, is would depend on what was yet to wait into what would be another realm. So death was not viewed with sorrow, was not viewed with grief. It was viewed as basically kind of the process that we're all experiencing.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
I've read where some places it could be very well be that many people don't even know that they've died.
I've heard that so many times when I've been with different energies and going into different locations. Like I said, I traveled all the time when I was a child, and it was kind of crazy because I didn't like try to go, just I would show up places.
You were there.
And there
Yeah.
were lots of times where there were spirits, and they had no idea that they were not alive. They literally did not know. So they did not know.
I'm of the belief that they're all around us. I mean, just because I can't see them does not exist. I have equipment over on the other side of my office here. Whether you want to talk about IR cameras and other electronic devices that tells me, yeah, they are here. That there's but not all are here. So it's clear that there's something on that voyage, as you said, that I don't know if some have a ticket that don't allow them to leave, or how others seem to have the ability that they can move on and transition into whatever the next experience is.
From what I've seen, a lot of these the souls that don't leave the earth, it seems like many of them uh they find a human to anchor into, and they continue existing through that other being. So I've seen that was a common theme that I had seen with a lot of disembodied souls that didn't go straight into the voyage, that kind of hung around here. Sometimes and I can see how that happened because when I was shown how I was part of everything. And like as soon as I would focus on something, I would go inside of it. And I was in that thing and I was that frog or I was that river. And that was really hard to conceptualize in a human brain. And it was so overwhelming. So I could see how these souls, if they're lost in this construct and not leaving and they're here roaming around, potentially not knowing that they've died, especially children, they would want a safe place to hide and they would be gravitated towards a light that would be comfortable for them and somehow try to merge with that light. And that could be another human being. So I see
Right.
so many potentials.
Yeah, I've also heard and been taught that there's there's a challenge as it is when you come into this life. Each one of us had our own challenges, in our birthing process, etc. Particularly in early childhood, you're in an environment that's designed to kill you. I mean,
Yeah.
just the natural environment itself is
If someone
designed to
doesn't
kill you.
take care of you, you will die.
Yeah,
Yes,
you got that
you
right.
will die. Yes. Uh,
So it's a problem with people who have not been prepared that when that transition takes place, hey Jenny, that
Hey,
what happens is that they can't the idea that they are thought, that they're now this ethereal form of basically means you're really of a form of your own mind, it freaks them out. And so
yeah.
they gravitate to that which they know or have relied upon.
Yes.
And I think
What
that
is
that's where the
familiar?
trap is,
Yeah, the
or a
familiarity.
trap.
Yeah. Not trusting that you're more than just this reality, that not trusting that you're a part of something much grander and larger than this existence.
Mm,
This is just a
yeah.
particle. We're in a material word, which is a particle. It's only a part of which you can see. That's why it's
So
so,
then death would be actually life,
yes, yes,
as
yes, yes,
life is actually death.
yes. In
Hey, Jenny.
entropy systems, but
How you doing, darling?
I
I'm
do
just
think there's
heartening people.
systems.
What's that, Trina?
I said, I think that's true in the entropic systems, entropy systems. This is an entropy system with a duality-based principle of physics. When you get to higher levels, that duality is not near as strong, and I don't think the entropy is at all the same. So there may not be death, or death may be a very long, long, long process. Really
It
long.
really gets, kind of trippy when you think
Yeah.
about it, because I come from a religious background where when I became out from under the God spell, I clearly there was two different creations going on here, and you realize, okay, I can't take this, word for word, but I do believe it's painting a lost memory. So there apparently was one group of people that were, I don't know if created is the word, however it happened, but they seem to have a different set of, I think, biological bodies. I'm not even sure they had what we would call a soul. I don't know how many of them there were. All that we know that there was this cataclysmic event that took place, and then there was this other guy or group of guys or gals come together, and then we get the story of us. Now, that gets into that whole thing. So, was death already a realm that had a complex hierarchy to it, had a set of gods, had a set of rules, has its own physics?
I think those are the material realms, the matter material
Bingo.
realm. Yeah, not the
Weird,
etherical.
isn't it?
Yeah, I've
Ho,
always
ho,
seen
ho for the holidays, huh?
yeah, I've always seen there's two different lives that I'm existing in simultaneously, and one is etheric and one is physical. And that's why when I went to church to go see the Lord, I was like, well, I thought he had a physical body too, and he was going to show up because I had a conscious awareness of my two positions existing simultaneously. And I still have that anchor. I still know that.
I'll be candid with you. In my departure, the words will be out of my lips, nothing missing, nothing broken. I know I'm carrying that. And what, my expectation is that if you want to call it source, if you want to call it the singularity, whether you want to call it God, whatever, it's not a corporeal or even a bipedal being.
No,
I just I just don't see that. I see it as an energy.
yeah, and it's invisible. So process
Hmm.
that. I
Well,
mean,
and
just
we only see what we see less than 2% of the visible light spectrum through these eyes.
yeah, yeah.
Jenny, are you there, dear? You're being
Yeah, I'm
awfully
just listening.
quiet.
I'm just listening. I know I came in late. My Mercury's been going crazy during the solstice, and that I broke a phone. I spilled coffee on the laptop, so the camera didn't want to connect. It's just, but it's okay. It's okay. I need time in the solstice, winter solstice, alone, not alone, but with family, close. Just being insular. So I made damn sure of that with all of the physical things around me breaking. So yeah, I'm okay. So I didn't want to interrupt, but the energy thing, if the whole God thing is so perplexing to me that anybody can personify a God or a particle even that is superior to another, in that all realms and layers need to interact with all different particles, let alone compounds and
What, are
whole
there
big.
difference in atoms? I don't think so. An atom is an
Well,
atom.
and that's it, but they can be combusted in
Oh,
various
yeah,
different ways
you
that
whatever you
create
get in your
completely
orbit.
different. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So, but they need something else in order to do that. They need that charge in order to do that. So again, the atom's no more a god than the charge that comes to it to make it spectacularly something else, to create something else. The energy thing and the sort of leather bookends that have been put on this God issue or this being that's superior to everything else seems practically impossible to me for it to just even work, from an alchemical level. It just doesn't work. And that's been one of the biggest traps ever. It's been one of the biggest get out clauses for truly evil things that people do. It's been one of the biggest get out clauses for truly apathetic things that people don't do. It's been a real outside of self to blame and outside of self to seek sanctuary when you're seeking reparations or when you're seeking forgiveness. That forgiveness has always been sought outside of self, and it just opens up the whole field of people between you and this perceived entity or perceived God to be the middleman, to come in and siphon off your energy as you give it out. So it's,
That one verse in Genesis I've never figured out, and it said, "And God repented."
yeah,
Well,
of course.
excuse me, time out.
Mhm.
So it's kind of like
It
where he
shows you
says
his
that he's a
wickedness.
jealous and angry, vengeful God. And I'm going,
Remember,
who,
Wayne, there are so many people right now breaking this apart, and they're doing the translations of the Bible right now, and they're really getting into it deep. There is some profound information coming out of this, and it's about the Elohim, how that is the gods of the Bible, Elohim, and that through the you know really looking at the translations of what is Elohim, these are like commanders and generals in an
well, that's where
army.
the
And
title Lord comes from, So
yeah,
you have
and
the
so
Lord Jesus Christ. Well,
yeah, so these
excuse
are
me,
the
you
rulers
know.
of this construct that are controlling, the
So
construct
who
through
would God repent to then?
probably his ruler or the one
See,
above
that would
him.
go with Psalms 82
Yes,
that
the
says
ruler
the
above him.
Supreme walked in to the gods of man, meaning the Elohims, they sat in a council, and the Supreme said to the Elohim, "What you have done to man shall be done unto you. You
Yep,
shall in fact die as man has because of what you've done."
yep, yep. That makes so much
Hmm.
sense to me, and that makes
Again, that's
perfect sense to me.
Again, that's a metaphorical story that fits one section of religion. Those
Yep,
same stories are told in paganism. The Lord
Yes.
would be Odin, Lord Father, Lord Warrior would be Odin. So that whole story that you've just described beautifully is described in every aspect of this human life that we've been
It
indoctrinated
is.
believe it
Yeah.
to be. So
yeah,
it's a living word, it's a living cycle that keeps getting repeated by words and spells that put it into stories that help people externalize the Elohim from themselves. The only reason anybody would be repenting is because maybe Odin comes in and wins the war. Of course you can repent to that warrior. It's not a
So are
esoteric.
we dealing with Enki here? I mean, or with
It's
Loki,
Enki, it's all of them. It's
Yeah,
Loki,
it
it's
is all of
Enki,
them.
all of
Yeah.
them.
you
So
got the
again,
See,
it's
whole
really
12.
easy to fall into that trap. It's just cycles that we are still now repeating. And the cycles seem to spiral
I
into
think
worse.
they take notice of when people and whether we have a piece of the truth or a fractal part of the truth, we have a part of the truth.
Yep.
And I think that we'll go off when we go off air. I'll share something with the two of you, but it's very obvious that it's like much like being Neo. when you suddenly become aware of the matrix becomes very much aware of you.
You.
I've had that
Yeah.
my whole life.
Know what I'm
Me.
saying? And particularly as you start putting little pieces, they're breadcrumbs. They don't give us the baked loaf. We have to put the breadcrumbs together.
Yeah. And dimensions and realms are like that. Dimensions and realms could be easily described as a loaf of bread that you slice, you
Yeah.
know? So people could totally maybe set off some atoms in a chain reaction and completely blow a slice out. And that's you picking out a slice of the loaf of bread. That would be a black hole. That would be the void between realms then. But the
Yep.
slices are just as separate, but just as connected.
Yeah.
Otherwise, the loaf topples. Then they're both at the same time. And so that loaf of bread and the breadcrumbs is a really good analogy of like you can have the whole loaf, or you could even just have a slice of what your resonance and your frequency in your body can live within without evaporating or fractalizing into a million pieces. Because these bodies, say we're in the second slice, these bodies cannot maybe go to the ninth slice just because physically the atoms are different there. Physically, the
Mm-hmm.
compounds are different there, and these bodies will not carry there. That's all the different realms of spirituality are. What kind of resonance can be carried and recognized and seen and perceived in each slice of the loaf, you know? But it's made into this religious thing. It's made into like this cult, you know? Even in spirituality, there's a lot of cultism of not because I enjoy the stories, I love the sagas, but not seeing them as metaphors that you could apply to any slice if
You
need
see, I
be.
see, to continue with the metaphor and the loaf of bread, Jenny, I see that we are in essence the loaf itself, but the religion is like the flour that you put upon the loaf in order to keep the loaf together.
Mm. Well,
Think
that would
about
be
it.
ritual. Yeah, yeah, that would be ritual because that works, doesn't it?
Bingo.
Own
Yeah.
in.
Yeah.
It's when that ritual's taken away and given, um, where religion comes in, that flour, like you say, that sprinkling, it
Not just that, the
separates.
water
Religion
and
has
then
separated.
the
Yeah,
kneading. The
Yeah.
knead,
yeah,
you're putting
it's-
your thought and your energy into that creation.
exactly.
All the
Spirituality
ingredients.
should be all of that.
Yeah.
The
All,
amalgamation of all the knowledge and wisdom. Religion separates it. One religion says another religion is evil. That's it. It's divided. It's the same knowledge is divided and weaponized
And
yep.
it's
as soon.
interesting when you talk about the mixing because if you need dough, I think Paul used the analogy of clay that the clay is going to be molded, it's going to be bended, etc. It's going to be reshaped. I mean, and I'm thinking, so is this process of when you go through religion that it basically molds you into something that you were never meant to be? I mean,
Well, that's conditioning, isn't it? You're
it would
conditioned.
take would appear to me.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. That's all they need to do with consciousness. Have the same truths that speak to the very compounds inside our bodies, the waters that run through, because we know they make sense intuitively. We know that certain compounds together can create this or that, or we know that intuitively there's truth to it, and that's why it resonates to a degree. But then, like the consciousness can be molded and conditioned and stretched
And
to
here's where the molecules change. So originally bread did not have yeast. It was flat bread. It was used because that was about all they had. That was the technology. But
still choose that in the Middle East. Yeah.
yes, it's still used. I like flat bread, but
Mm.
there's a clear difference between that and what we would call a loaf of bread that uses yeast, which is again alters the state or activates the inert state, and look what you get. Well, this
Yeah.
is deep. This is deep. I like this stuff. Well,
Who knew a loaf of bread?
how about that, everybody? So, ladies, 2024, when we meet next Tuesday, we will be in 2024. It's interesting because here's what I've gotten in my meditation, and I've done this for decades. I used to be where Kenneth Copeland had a word from God, and God, the Lord Jesus, was going to tell us through the Holy Spirit what the next year was going to hold for us. And so, that is ancient paganism. I mean, you can go back on that. And if one human can do that, another human can do that.
Yeah.
And, you don't need this special anointing. So I always look, and this is what I got. It says, because it says, and here it is that it's going to be a very lucky year for some, the abundance of the flow of prosperity, and that basically it's what the overall year is going to hold. It's going to have a lot of outside challenges, and that's the other thing. Some of the predictions, would y'all like to read a couple of predictions?
Yeah, go on.
Okay, so I have here that this is 24 in 2024. Nostradamus says blah 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 blah. So what did Nostradamus say about the year 2024, which is the year of the dragon in the Chinese zodiac? And specifically, it's the wood dragon. The dragon is a symbol of power, strength, and luck, but also of danger, destruction, and greed. Says, could this mean that in 2024 that the call trains call for great changes, challenges, and opportunities? Here is the first one. The year of calamity. In the century fourth, quatrain 67, it is foretold that in 2024, a remarkable bright comet, previously unknown, will grace the skies. This celestial event will coincide with significant geological upheavals marked by earthquakes, volcanic eruptions, disrupting people's access to vital water sources. These disasters will bring about famine, drought, and profound societal changes. Even the most prosperous and influential nations, particularly those in Western Europe, will experience a decline in their fortunes. They will be torn apart by civil strife and social unrest as people migrate to regions with suitable water sources for farming. Earthquakes and severe floods will lead to conflicts between states. The United States will face challenges in coping with these disasters. 3 other major nations will extend aid to the survivors in the U.S., ostensibly to assist them. However, these humanitarian actions may mask motives hinting at potential occupation. This is interesting. What do you think? I mean, can I just add the fact that the Deagle report, remember when Brian and I, we did a number of shows, Milky and I, on the report. And it says that there is going to be, by their numbers, wasn't ours,
Nope.
they were showing a huge reduction in the general populace of the United States, well, and also with Britain.
Yeah,
There were
well,
many
it's already
countries involved.
happening. Everything you mentioned is happening. It's being reflected as above, so below. It's already reflecting here on the surface, these energies. Lack of water for innocent people, lack of food for innocent people, a lot of death that's not being
Apparently, there is this disaster, this famine that's taking place in Africa that it's not hitting the news, but this is on, what quote unquote a biblical scale. No
Well, there's a
water.
lot to do with that you can't see on YouTube because a lot of it is contracts that I've been putting information out about recently that the UK have been doing. It's a land grab, basically. And these things are being brought about deliberately in Ghana in particular, as well as other places that, again, YouTube will flag if you say the word. So,
Well, we won't say the word.
no, we won't say the word. The word is the word.
Don't say the word.
Heard, and nobody heard. But that's all already happening. These land grabs, they're changing the map as we speak.
It's
They're changing the the borders as we speak. And for me, from everything that you just said, concentrating on the USA and the UK, because obviously we're both from there, those different places. It's an energy also of really get yourself into that sovereignty energy, into being your own Lord, which is above sovereignty even. And because when things like this happen and these people who've been in control start looking elsewhere and spreading their eyes and their field elsewhere, in Germany in World War II, they didn't care that their own people were hurting. In the UK, the same. And that's happening in both the USA and the UK as they're looking in another direction. There's a lot of people waiting out for a leader to come forward and say
About the leader coming forward, interesting, because that kind of
yeah.
gets into the next prediction from Nostradamus. It talks about Putin's health challenge and the diabolical successor. Says in the upcoming year of 2024, as the mighty dragon exerts its influence in the Chinese zodiac, a sense of foreboding surrounds Vladimir Putin, a leader born under this same sign in 1952. Within the Enneatic verses of Nostradamus, the haunting prophecy emerges, suggesting a turbulent year ahead that may bring significant challenges for the Russian leader. Simultaneously, Nostradamus suggests that a close confidant of Putin, someone he trusts, will exploit his vulnerabilities due to illness. This individual, described as diabolical, will seize the reins of power in Russia. The consequences of this change in leadership could be the destabilizing both nationally and internationally. Kind of goes in what you were saying. They're looking for a new leader.
Yeah. And that's when that leader isn't there to do the things that they profess to do every 3 years, or whenever candidates, presidents or MPs stand, in the running, wherever you are. I think it's about 3 years here, but they seem to change the rules here as much as they like. The goalpost can stretch from a year to 4 years sometimes. It's crazy. But again, there's nobody stepping in, but there's a lot of people still programmed to wait for that to happen. And I'm seeing it on the streets in the UK in particular, that there's a lot of civil disobedience of quite nasty people feeling quite free to be as nasty as they like, now without the consequence. So you can see it brewing.
Well, it's over here too. So it's
yeah.
it's and I think it's by design.
Yeah, there's very little self-control because everyone's been micromanaged so much, but that management is abandoning them. And when you get micromanaged, when you're like a helicopter parent, you end up with a child that can be quite naughty when they do get some free time where their eyes are on them, and that's the energy that I see in a lot of people, where all of a sudden they realize the micromanaging helicopter parent isn't there. And instead of having a sense of self-control and digging deep and controlling their anger, their emotions, they're just being that child that all of a sudden doesn't know what to do when they're not being swaddled by a parliamentary member taking money from them. It's
Yes, I'm trying to keep the politics out of it, Jenny. I know
yeah.
it's hard to do
It's
because,
hard if you're peering in there, and
I
I'm
just,
trying not, but it's
because
you can say
we could
that
go
about
really deep here as well. So, uh,
it's not even political. That's not what I was trying to say. The helicopter parent of, even when you've got a manager at work and you've got a helicopter manager that is there all the time, but then suddenly sets their sights on a promotion. There's a lot of people in the office that will dig deep and find their strength and really show off and show abilities that they didn't even know they had. But there's also a lot of people in the office that'll just slack off and think, well, I don't need to do the work. Nobody's making me. Nobody's setting the rules for me. And that's what you're seeing in society in all of these layers. Few people really digging deep and finding they've got these attributes that they didn't even consider that they had. And that's beautiful. But then these other people who are like, oh, well, I'll just do what I like then, I'll not be
it's called,
productive.
wasn't there a movie on that where they all had anarchy for one night? Anyway,
Yeah.
I wanted to get to this because, there's about four more. And the next one he writes for 24, holds a stunning revelation. A nation once considered an emerging economy will rise to global prominence, reshaping the geopolitical landscape. Nostradamus foresees an economic surge of extraordinary proportions, reshaping the global financial landscape. This is big because of what BRICS is doing and everything else. This is coming to pass. We're watching it right now. Analyzing the cryptic verses of Nostradamus, the revelation comes to light. It strongly hints that the nation posed to reshape the global landscape in the year of the dragon, 2024, is none other than India. This insight challenges our preconceptions and suggests that the potential for significant, unforeseen changes on the world stage, India's ascent, as hinted in this verse, could mark a pivotal moment in history, leaving an indelible impact on the future of our world, which leads into number 4. He saw in 24, this is actually the rise of decentralized digital currency. This is amazing. He says, in a time of innovation, courage, and wealth, a trust shift shall occur. Confidence in centralized currencies wanes as the world approaches a decentralized digital realm where new possibilities await. And this is what it says specifically. As wealth and power begin to sway, doubts in leaders, currencies astray. In search of answers, a changing trend, new horizons beckon around the bend. He says as well that in 2024, extraterrestrial guardians will step in due to the tumultuous results of what we're seeing right now, just as you were talking about, Jenny, that this is throwing our planet in a tumultuous trajectory. Says that these benevolent beings won't allow it. So anyway, so what do you say, ladies?
I think we are the benevolent beings as well. Again, there are others that don't look like us, but I think that we are part of that prophecy that, you know, we all here are benevolent beings, and we are making those choices to dig deep and find those attributes and still show love in even in hateful spaces or angry spaces, you know, still
There's a
show
lot of
that
angry.
understanding, you know, and that takes strength. It takes strength. So I think we are part of that prophecy in the benevolent beings part of it, you know, that we're here and we see what's needed and what's happening.
He also predicts that there's going to be a new pope that will literally turn apparently Christianity upside down.
Mm.
Then I'll just finish it out here because I want to, Trina, I want to hear your input on this as well. Apparently, there is going to be a cosmic event as Nostradamus, and these were things I had before I read this article. We will see apparently upheaval in the U.S. political system in itself. Dramatic changes. It is called, and it was interesting, Catherine Hedridge, who was with Fox News. She covers the intelligence community, and she's now with CBS. She kind of let the cat out of the bag. She said in her sources dealing in the CIA, Pentagon, upper branches across the government, they're expecting a black swan event. Now, a black swan event, if you don't know what it means, it's defined as a high impact event that is difficult to predict, but is inevitable.
So I wonder if that's about the sun.
Says there is, and this is interesting, through a quantum computer using an AI algorithm, it is saying that the US is going to be attacked in 2024. Something spiritually is coming that will be exactly in proportionate to these other changes. Upheavals. Again, political, individual, financial systems, Yeah. So that's both the good and the bad. I mean, I think that, I look at it as a very prosperous year. I
I
like
think
dragons.
Me
They're
too.
my buddies. I think of Kaz all the time, of the dragons. I mean, they're beautiful creatures. But anyway, so Trina, input, feedback.
Interesting enough, I've been looking at a lot of etymology on light and serpents, which is
Oh,
dragon.
okay. Yeah.
So this was kind of interesting. What I was finding, this is from a book called The Meaning of the Word America, and it's by Ori the Cranot. And they were talking in this book, and I'm quoting, okay, when you look at the etymology of light, it says Semitic. It means Elo, E-L-O. In this context, it is indicative of or means serpent, i.e., the reptilians, referring to the geolocalization of their origin or bright star, as seen from here, which refers to the coming Earth from an other solar system originally, which was also our North Star at some ancient point of history, wherein the moniker Morning Star, Lucifer, as a Mesopotamian Iran text from 1700 BCE, calls it the true shepherd of Anu, shining bright, therefore morning star, and by no means does light refer to the clarity or radiance of their understanding of reality and or life, or their benevolence, or any divine justification of their deceitful knowledge, information, and culture. Lucifer equals Tyrus. It is Persian. TY, to be connected to or attached to Lenal, would be Tylenol. That means pharmaceutical. There's a connection in pharmakia to the serpent. The Greek divination, witchcraft, pharmakia, apotheke, Greek apothemim, would put away a store or hoard a warehouse. The purpose of the global pharmaceutical industrial complex is to rewrite the genetic and the coding. Since this is a now Cold War, a new code wars. So we've got code wars happening. So that you and I become the present day software program. So
So
this has been just a part of the etymology of these ancient words. And also when you look at Nimrod, it says Sumerian, who was reptilian sun god with 3 horns. Interesting, 3 horns, whose feminine counterpart was Semiaris, I can never say her name, apologize, represented as reptilians holding their hybrid child. So it also talks about the bark of a dog, Ra, Re, Ray, Egyptian, Arabic, or Sirius, the dog star, the shining ones, the i.e., the ones from Sirius who are the dragons. So I thought this was interesting that I was reading all this etymology and then you brought this up at the exact same moment. I thought, kind of interesting.
I
Looking
think
at
that
all the little clues.
it appears to me that in so many different levels. I mean, I follow currencies. I mean, I invented 2 payment systems. And we were talking back in 2000. Well, I was part of the very first banking summit where I was actually a speaker there, teaching the banks about what was coming, particularly in mobile payment.
Yeah.
It didn't exist back then. But my point is this: so I have seen this in the works. If I had been if I had made a certain move, I could have made a small fortune in Bitcoin because I was actually a part of a group that was the first founders of that technology. And it was a precursor to what we're seeing today. And so when I look at the prediction of a economic upheaval, to me, it's like, yeah, people don't have any understanding here in America. And Jenny, I don't know what it is in the UK, but people like to have cash.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't be tracked with cash.
there's a real fight for cash in the UK. I have some of them myself, keep the cash posted that I stick on, lampposts and stuff. But there's a lot of people, but not enough. most people are using their watches, their phones,
Ah,
very few cards even now. So it's just a hop, skip, and away to normalizing somebody having something under the skin where the watch used to be to scan the wrist, which has already been prototyped and works. That's
there's been
already
slow
happening.
adaptation to the wrist. So you saying over there in the UK, you guys are already
Oh,
using that as the
main,
interesting. See?
main. Yeah, I mean, and
Wow.
there's a few that, that people are putting up the good fight.
Now,
And there's
is
a
it the
few.
youth that primarily are adapting to this?
Oh, no, 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 no. I would say majority, with a lot of the older generation that, like you say, like to have the cash. My granny or my granddad did it, had a box for each type of bill, and his wages went in that box, and then he had a savings box, and then he had something at the post office. But it was separated and it was neat. It was there. There were in metal boxes. He thought of that in case there was a fire, and he just had these separate slots, like a till box kind of
Mm-hmm.
thing. And that was his money. And he did very well with that. That's gone now. There's very few, even elderly people, they've made it so difficult to only live with cash, as in, things that a lot of pensioners need, like their pension, it has to be paid into a bank account. They've taken away most of the banks. During the last, funny few years. They shut down majority of the banks, especially in small rural villages that are
They're
far
doing
away
that
from
here
anything
right
else.
now.
So
That's
you just
happening
need
right
to
now
get to the
here.
cash
Folks, I hope
point.
you're listening to this. I did not know this was going on. This
It's been
is,
a real fight in the UK the whole last 3, 4 funny years, the marches that we went on and stuff. That was a huge thing because we were already seeing, I'd already been putting warnings out about it's already been tested in Japan and in China, the little nodule under the skin, to scan. And then the watches have become very accessible to do that. People don't realize that a lot of that they're already making trillions of because they're selling the data from these
oh,
watches.
it's all
It's
about control. I
It's
mean,
currency that we're not involved in, but it's our stuff, it's our data, it's our heartbeat, it's our cortisol that it measures, and they're selling it.
yeah, what people don't realize is that they're literally taking your code.
Yep.
Your codes, yeah,
I
yeah.
mean, people, unless you're in the business and understand it, but I'm going to be talking to someone I know in the industry. I was not aware, Jenny, that this was adaptive so quickly there. Americans they're slow to adapt.
Not here
Um,
in Phoenix and Scottsdale. Oh no, we're right where Jenny's at.
in what
Yeah.
We're
manner?
in a more rural area. Where we're at in the city.
I mean, there's people wearing watches.
Oh yeah, my roommate has one on her wrist. So does my sister. No, it is
No,
more.
I mean for payment though. How are they doing that? Because there's no terminals in a store to accept that.
Oh yeah, you've got a scan
It's
device
just
that
a
will just
normal
read check and
scanning
put it on
terminal
your
Well,
credit
now.
card.
I'm
The
not doubting
old
the veracity of what you're saying, though.
Yeah,
I have not read.
you can
yeah, they
buy
pay with their Starbucks with their watch
yeah,
and their
yeah.
No,
phone.
no, I get that. I get that. But I don't. Maybe
You
we're
see,
just talking out of context of definitions here,
they've
because
made the terminals so
I don't
cheap.
believe that there is a broad adaptation to watches. What type of watch are they using? Are you saying is it an Apple
Apple.
Watch?
Yeah, Apple.
Okay,
Android,
so they're
Apple,
using Apple Pay.
Yeah,
and
Okay.
Android. Android's huge too,
yeah.
just as big. Android's huge too. They're
No,
both just
I not like I said, I live in a rural area myself, and I don't see that, but I could be wrong. I mean,
and now
Yeah,
they've made the terminals so
so
cheap.
you're seeing banks closing, Trina. Is that what you're saying?
yeah, the projections for the United
No, no,
States.
no, no. Are you seeing banks closed in your
Oh yeah,
area?
I've already seen probably maybe 10 banks in my area that literally either they're close to shutting down or they've already shut down. So we've seen not like a huge amount, but I've been watching it happen. And then some of them went down for a while and they remodeled them and now they seem like they're back up again. So I've been noticing these changes for a while with our banks. And a lot of them have turned into Starbucks because they're drive-throughs. So we have bunch in Scottsdale, I saw they're no longer operating, and they're saying they're going to be shutting down a lot this year. So I think we're going to see the big wave this year for America for the shutdown of the banks. But I've been seeing them moving around, and they are saying, this one's shutting down, but we're going to open up a new one here. So yeah, I've been seeing this for about 24 months. Some moving around with our banking institutions.
I
Yeah.
just want to put out publicly, I don't know this, so I'm not, because this could be
Yeah.
interpreted as,
Absolutely.
a potential direct misinformation hype. I
Well, yeah,
don't know.
No,
is
we
just
don't know.
this
We're
is
speculating.
it has been absolutely on and it's like you say, it's from my perspective, but I could go on any high street now, popular high streets where there's all the boutique shops, post offices, small bakeries, and I could send you 10 pictures on one high street where there used to be 10 banks where they're just shut down now.
But see, I own Apple shares, and there's nothing in the prospectus this year that they sent to shareholders on any where they're anticipating growth through adaption of their particular products. I mean, particularly there, and what I'm saying, I didn't see anything where they see that there's a move for more people to become adaptive to, this wrist rod. I know, but like I said, I could be completely wrong on this.
Wayne,
So
I was at the nail salon several weeks ago, and their internet system had gone down, and not one person in that entire place could pay their
that
bill.
happens here. Yeah, that
yeah, I
happens
get that. Yeah. Yeah.
It was
But
insane. I was the only one that could do it. The only one.
because you had the cash.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
yeah.
And again,
Everybody else was freaking out.
Susie or Guy, I would say better because I don't remember but about 4 years ago, I was putting out so many videos saying they're doing a shift on religion and the banking systems right now. Watch what they're doing. They're making it they've gone from gold to paper, and now it's the etherical. So that was like the Bitcoin and, the unseen, the untangible, the digits on a screen rather than money in your hand. So they were already transitioning there, and it was bang at that time, about a year later, banks started closing down. And it's been on mainstream news here that another one closes down, another one closes down. People are just working from home on the call centers. A lot of the call centers have closed down for the banks. People are working from home, so that never returned. It was a huge deal that they needed to get done in the UK over the last 4 special years, let's say, while there was a lot going on. It was one of the major things that they did. And it's difficult. It's difficult for rural people. Even the buses, Wayne, the buses going out to where you used to get on a little nonky bus, that couldn't have even thought about having the terminal to pay with a card, let alone anything else, a
Yeah.
watch or anything. They've all been fitted out now, and they won't take cash. So we've got pensioners in rural villages that can't get the buses they used to get to hospitals, bigger shops, because they haven't got they won't take cash. A lot of businesses have got signs of, just as the other shops have got cash only, the ones that are putting up a fight. A lot of business will say card only. Now more businesses say that than not. So it's a big news thing here that it's cutting out and letting down so many people in society. One, that don't want to be tracked, but two, that don't know how to work these things. They're old people. They've never had a smartphone, let alone a smart watch. So yeah, the buses won't take cash now. It's just card or wrist or phone, or pay online in advance. So it's
Yeah.
really,
And I can only, like I said, I know the industry, know it really well. And it's like within Walmart, there was a trend in retail for people to use self-checkout. It was elimination of individual employees. You don't have to pay health insurance benefits and what have you. And what they have found now is that the adaption of it is having a backlash effect. In fact, Walmart is pulling out their self-terminal pay and bringing back the individual. Now, the other thing is that Walmart also acts as a bank, because here's the thing. Well, 60% or more of their customers, when they go through the self-checkout, are looking to get cash back on their debit card.
Yeah.
And that's an interesting thing because it shows you that they've adapted to being able to do the self-pay, but they look at the debit card as basically a Walmart being that middleman bank.
Yeah.
It just anyway.
And that would
I've
speak to a
noticed
lot of the
too.
banks closing down, so people are doing that at the shops. You know,
Yeah,
that
it was just that, and by the way, as we were here, I was looking at it. There is an article that was actually on Fox Business News that in fact banks they have Wells Fargo, Chase, Bank of A, Bank of America, and Citibank, and to a lesser degree, US Bank. But the first three were the major ones that are announcing in 2024 of the closing. And I'm just reading this article. It's combined that over 1,400 banks are looking to be closed. These
The last
are,
one I saw Wayne a week ago was 850. So wow, it just doubled.
yeah,
That's interesting.
yeah.
Wow. Wow.
So,
Wow.
John Price, do keep in touch, brother. We're thinking about you for
Mhm.
sure. Yeah. And and here's the thing, if I was still deeply in religion, I remember when I brought the mobile payment system to churches, and I was accused by many church boards of being an agent of the Antichrist.
no, I bet.
I was. They when I told them that this was the future, that their congregation was going to be paying by the phone, they thought that this was an act of the devil.
I can imagine.
And you look at it today, you know, Jenny, as you were pointing out, they use us as data collectors, and by going to the digital dollar, to me, if I was to look at the book of Revelation, I would say that that is probably your Antichrist, your one world government is the digitization of all currency in the world.
I would agree.
Now, whoever owns that is probably going to be, maybe your physical manifestation, but it's actually a living system that's taking over.
Yes, but it's replacing a living system that we were already in. And what did that living system imply? That in living system has implied a trust holder, controllers, certificate
AI.
Someone
of,
said that there are prostitutes who use Square.
yeah, for sure.
Why not?
They do. Yep.
I mean, why not? I mean, come on. I mean, sure.
Is
Now that's
Square is
scary.
Square is Square a payment system?
Yeah, it is. Yeah,
Where
it's
did where
for
did it swipe? I mean,
It's a little portable thing that plugs into the top of their phone and you
no
and
literally
way.
make your
swipe card.
transaction.
Yeah,
Oh, I've
sure
seen
does.
those. I was looking at those for the market. I've been looking
Yeah,
at the
yeah, they
It's
they
work,
for real.
Yeah, it's Square. Yeah.
Yep.
That's
okay.
funny.
Well,
That's just
industry,
funny. I
moving with
mean,
the times. But it again, it's just they're all different systems of reality, and they just it depends how
uh,
who's in control of it. The problem I see in that AI is being controlled by too few right now. For me, if I was talking about the tarot videos I've done in the past, it would speak to also AI actually sometimes screwing over the people who are in power of all the money. It only takes, they're putting a lot of trust in their ability to control AI to keep the zeros and
Well,
ones
that's
where,
part of, by the way, Jenny, is part of the quantum prediction for 2024 is, in quote unquote, an intrusion of a rogue AI system that begins to spread into other systems. And I was thinking, isn't that the movie Avengers? The oh the Iron Man guy, he created his antithesis.
Oh,
What movie? I'm sure someone in the audience knows it
yeah, I
follows
don't
that.
know.
But
I don't
yeah,
know.
so this program that was basically a self-aware, self-thinking program takes over his AI program and then begins to take over the world with robots. Yeah. But
That
Yeah,
that
it's what we're talking about.
yeah,
yeah.
because yeah, sounds like a
Yeah.
real potential.
Yeah. I
Just
mean, I'm sitting here. Thank you, Brandon. Ballot Brand How Tony Stark. Which was that, Brandon? What was that?
yeah.
Um,
Dang it, I can't think of his name either. I can see him. He's dressed in the metal suit.
yeah,
It's
yeah.
on his suit.
You
I,
know,
I'm not good at recalling names like that, but I
come on,
also
someone out there
Iron
one of
knows
Man,
this.
right?
one of the predictions while somebody thinks of the name Jarvis. Ballet Brian says Jarvis.
Jarvis was the program. So what was the movie with of the Avengers where he
Was it
made,
Iron Man?
huh?
Was it Iron Man?
Yeah, it was one of the Avenger movies. What was the it was the
Haven't
AI
seen it.
program. Um
But
Age
also,
of Ultron. Thank you, Marion.
There we
Come
go.
on, folks.
Yeah, there
Age
we
of
go.
Ultron. I've
I
not
can.
heard of that. I've not heard of
You
it.
get the 5 stars, Marion. Man, there
Yeah,
we go. Yeah, yeah.
he wins all the time. But
Always.
But I
it's
mean, that's a real possibility as well. I mean, if we're seeing potentially an unexpected celestial object to show up, and by the way, it was also part of this other prediction, and this was they give the yeah that a volcanic comet 12P Honus Brooks makes a closest approach to Earth and may be seen by the naked eye in the sky. And AI has given this a 75% plus most likelihood it's going to happen. Apparently, I don't know why they don't can't see it now, but apparently they can't. And that's only it made over 400 different predictions, 419.
okay. There was a comet last week that me and Theodore stayed up to try and see because it was to be said to be seen by the naked eye, but it was too a shower, sorry. So it was too because he loves the sky and wants to go and see the northern lights. So anything he hears like that, he's like, "Can we see it? Can we wait up?" So we waited up as long as his little body would let him, but it was too cloudy. We didn't have very
Yeah,
good conditions, but that was just last week. But for people, when those big alignments come, like the full moon and stuff, do your magic, do your manifestations. Then
thank
this
you.
is what
Yeah.
these powers that be wait for these celestial events to really usher in their projected new age. They really anchor in and use the energy of the moon or the sun or the cosmic event, the shower, to really amplify the ability to manifest their projections that they have intent for. And so again, people need to find their own sovereignty and do that for their own lives, channel that energy for themselves. That cosmic event energy is a big thing in occult practice, and not enough people do it, not enough people make enough effort to it, to really draw that energy in and project it out. And there's a reason that we do that. Even women with their monthly cycles, when they do have that projection and they really hone in that energy and conceive, you can see that it can create a whole new being. We actually see that on a daily basis happening when people channel through their lunar cycle, that energy that all of a sudden creates this whole new being that is growing within the woman. That's what the kind of thing they're using. They're channeling that energy to create something, to project something, to manifest something. And we need to do that more too, without being told to do it.
Odd that you mentioned that. I was reading a paper on the fact that we have women, females on this planet that actually give birth to other living beings. This was a philosophical paper on there that how the ability of a woman have as a host and having this energy, this power of being able to manifest the child within them. And it went on to explain that if we would only as a society begin to realize what we're seeing right before us is that the paper was bringing out the fact that there is probably this unknown source of energy that is being literally generated by you ladies, and the ability to do this and giving birth to a live sentient being.
Yeah, but you know, when you look at the beginning of it all, it's the connection between two different points of light uniting, and through that union, there's a flash in the
But
cell.
see, we can't do that. Men can't. I mean, I'm just saying, we just.
Without your sperm, there would be
No,
no.
I get that, but that's where this paper was bringing out, that's where you ladies have this special ability.
Yeah, because we
Women's
can
Kundalini
hold the
is
spark.
What's that, Jenny?
women's Kundalini is different. We're very different beings in manifesting these bodies in the light that we carry and stuff. The Kundalini snakes are very much like that within women. I know I feel that when I work with people, they're different. It's not to say men don't have that spark, that ability with those two snakes polarized, connecting and working up.
By the
But
way,
it's different. When a man does that with
physiology,
a woman, sorry,
you
go on.
ladies, here's an interesting thing I found. You ladies also have more females of our species are born with longer tails. Many times the tail will stick out of the tailbone, protruding much more so to where you actually have to have surgery in order to remove it. More often shows up in women than it does into the males.
I'm constantly sitting down too hard on mine because it does. You can feel it. You can put your fingers around
I
it.
mean, now that to me is just it tells me something's missing in the past. I don't. Wow, we have really gone over, folks. My apology. I'm looking over there. I've enjoyed this conversation. All right. Hey, it was our Festivus treat to everybody. Since we won't be getting together, I know that I want to thank Ryder again for Thursday. Actually, it's where I was coming down with whatever I came down. Enjoyed that show. I was supposed to be with Robert on Saturday. So, Robert, thank you for your gracious understanding. I would not have been a good guest. And I think, isn't Nina, doesn't she, did she invite a New Year's Eve show? I think. I'll know more.
Yeah, I was
She's got
uncomfortable.
something on, but I've got to resubscribe to Nina on an every few month basis. We keep getting unsubscribed from each other. Talk about algorithms and knowing and trying to.
Yeah. And that's the
I've
other
got to
thing.
go. Yeah, I've
It's
got
just
to
like
go
with
and.
the we were talking about the banks and you get so nervous because you don't want to piss off the AI program.
Oh, it's
You know?
serious. It's serious.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm kind to
Yeah.
AI. I'm very kind to AI. I speak
Yeah.
lovingly to it. I know Gaia
Yeah,
does.
I
I know.
speak favor over AI. You son of a gun. You, as Brandon says,
Yeah,
wait till AI becomes sentient.
yeah. Oh, it
They said
already
it
is.
already has.
He said, yeah, it's like someone said it probably already has.
That they're claiming it has. Yeah, they're
Yeah,
claiming
I believe that.
Elon has said yes, he believes the new one is sentient. So we'll see.
Mark says we will prevail. Yeah,
You
yeah.
know what, guys? I think we've been here before all of this stuff and before the changing and the new genesis of what we embody now with this human vessel. And what you are is all of everything, and you know that when you're in that state. But when you're in a human potential, in a human sleeve, experiencing a point of view, all that you are is still true. You just don't remember. So we know that we just don't know.
Doesn't Doris Cannon, didn't she say here just recently that the transition has started from
Yeah,
the 3D to the 5D, and we'll
Yeah.
begin to see more and more effect of this.
I think that's why this potential for the aliens and stuff is now getting to be a real potential because the consciousness is there. It's ready now. I can see that it's literally the consciousness is there. There's enough people with an awareness to where it really should start manifesting in a big scale. But what does that mean? Are these even from outside of this place, or are they just from right under our feet and we just don't even know it?
Seems to be a
Just
whole lot
another
more
side
activity. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Just
what do
another.
y'all see as we close? We'll go a little bit longer here. So I'll start with you, Trina. Where do you see 2024?
I see that this dragon energy to me is a new beginning. We're in a new age. We just entered Aquarius. We've got 3 clocks resetting. I think we are going to see such profound changes as to the likes that we've probably never even been able to comprehend. If what I'm seeing, and this could be a couple hundred years away, but I do think that this Aquarian age does have a new set of laws of physics that come with it. And I do believe it's plasma based, and that's why we're at a reset with the energies. And I do think that that's because the plasma is the highest of what I've seen in vibrational existence in this realm. It seems to be the connecting point or the ladder between heaven and the material realms. So we are entering into the land of the plasma
So what does that
dragon.
mean for people? What do you think in
I think
24?
if they can really learn to trust the power of the water of manifestation in them, because plasma is another form of water. We bring it into water into the body. The mist of the soul, when the soul leaves the body, that mist, these are all forms of plasma from what I've been shown. So this entrance into a gate of all these new timelines of plasma tells me that we literally could bring heaven to earth. So if will we do it though? Will we do it? So, but this is a potential that I see. You're going to have 2 dragons though, just like we have 2 serpents on the pole. There's going to be a dark aspect of this experience and a lighter aspect of it. So if we can understand both of it and blend it together and marry it and not divide and conquer against one another and unify through this experience, we will see heaven on earth. But we can see the opposite too. So the potential's going both ways.
Okay.
Yep.
Jenny, what do you see, my dear?
I agree with everything Trina's just said. And again, it's not those two poles, those two snakes, that they have to be both the positive and the negative. You know, they can't move up if they don't. They need to be connecting at a minus and plus to charge up, to move up. So you can put that in the experiences that you may be going to experience of difficulties, of challenges. That would be your spark on the minus side, let's say. And the spark on the other side would be to still find the strength somewhere to say, no, I'm going to challenge this. I'm going to meet it. I'm going to pass through it. And there's going to be a lot of times that I think people are going to be very challenged for that. I think we're going to see a lot of sadness, a lot of emptiness in that a lot less people in 2024. It just physically being here, I mean, they've transitioned on. The frequency is changing, and I think what Trina was speaking about speaks to what Nikola Tesla talked about in the luminiferous ether. Luminiferous ether he described as the plasma-like substance that is around us now that I can sense, but there's a lot of electricity that and lighting, false lighting that it blocks the perception of that. And somehow with these new frequencies that they're using in AI, so we're being drenched in them. I think it is changing our bodies and it's changing the environment around us. And the cosmic energies are changing. The cosmic energies are going to look very different. I predicted a few years ago that in about 2024, we would see different constellations appear to be present to our eye for us to be able to perceive. And I still see that absolutely happening as the frequencies change, just, as the ethers change, the perception is available for us to see star systems that we haven't seen previously.
Next year is the year of the 8, and that is the 8, the infinity and the symbol of the Ouroboros. That's amazing because there's 88 constellations in our sky but we can't see most of them. That would be very interesting if we could lock into the power of the 8 and be able to see as above, so below. So we would be able to see all the stars above and around the immediate 12 constellation zodiac wheel that we've been seeing for all these years. That makes a lot of sense to me, and that would make sense. That would change the physics because we'd be receiving light from new stars, and that would change the DNA, change the
You've just
code.
totally encapsulated a video that I did on that whole subject of the new
Oh,
constellations that I saw and the downloads, and the fact that the constellations can be right there, like energies can be right there that you or I could perceive that other people don't even know that are there, because we've crossed those shooting stars, we've crossed those Kundalini points, so the perception is open, the availability there is open. So you've just totally encapsulated a probably too long-winded video of what, star codes coming down. So that's what I see big style. But I'd like to remind people as they go into this energy of there's going to be so much distraction, so much illusion. I don't want anybody to see anything outside of themselves as real. Just see it as it is being presented, because there's a lot of acting that's going on, just even through AI, that people aren't even sitting there really on a screen talking. It's a total made-up character of zeros and ones, to make it look real. There's going to be a lot of that. Dig deep into your own reality, really practice on presence work. And that is your part in shifting the narrative into a more positive one, when you can let go of the distractions, be aware of them, challenge them in your own life, though, rather than putting it outside of self to an external fight, because that's where the power lies.
I keep hearing too that it's really important for us to shield our field. Shield your field. They keep yelling at me, shield your field, protect your code. They're trying to get it. They want this information. So I keep hearing the reason we fell in Atlantis was because we forgot about the powerful, potent protection that we as humanity can provide to a planet if we decide to shield our planetary field, to literally become the shield for this planet through us. They're saying shield the field, and it's you that do this work. So that's what I keep hearing.
Yeah, there's a reason that rituals are really strong and precise and quiet and silent, secret. Because any blood ritual, you're opening yourself up to the person you would be working with. When blood rituals started to go en masse, i.e., donating of blood, companies owning blood, that's a big, big amount of magic and power in a few people's hands. And what you've just said there, we've now entered in, without being told on mainstream, into this place of where data, your code, is your DNA that your blood used to be and still is. It's a real building up of who you are.
Well, I'll end it with this, with my predictions. I do believe we're going to see in the United States a political upheaval. I think that this is going to cause a really big, big rift. I believe as well that in the United States that we will begin to see food riots. There are the fact that we are being invaded into this country with the vast migration of now estimated 20 million people, the United States. And I know farmers in this area, the drought is really bad. The Mississippi River here is at an all-time historical low. They're not able to actually begin to move the type of barge traffic. I think I agree with the consensus out there is going to be a black swan event. I believe that China is going to attack Taiwan. And if the U.S. tries to intervene on that, I think that we will see a retaliatory action from China. I believe as well that we will see this year in the United States particularly, but I believe this is also in the global markets, that there is another upheaval of the very currencies. I think that this bodes very bad for the United States. I think that there is better than an 80% chance that we will see the collapse of the greenback, forcing the conversion over to the digital currency where revaluations will come into place. I also believe that there's better than a 60% chance that the United States will be physically attacked I don't know if this attack is from outside or inside, but I will say this. It's interesting that now even the Department of Homeland Security, through Mr. Cray, who is the director of the FBI, they believe that the FBI is saying this, that there's almost a certainty a 9/11 event is coming.
Oh yeah.
So,
Everybody's saying that. All the people that are projecting.
yeah.
Yeah.
So then we counter this with just what you two ladies said, that there
Yeah.
is a way you can shield yourself. You may be in the midst of it, but there
Just
is a way to come through it without even the smell of smoke on
just like you said too, Wayne, that the Mississippi River is going so low that they can't get the barges
you.
through.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, because we've done this before, that we can fill that river up. We know that we can do this. When will
Rain
we?
dance, baby, rain dance.
That's
And it's true. It's
That's where
true.
this group comes in and doing group manifestations. I
We
mean,
Yeah,
know we can do
yeah,
this.
yeah.
We
yeah.
know.
Lynn and I are in agreement with, and we learned the power of agreement,
Yeah.
between,
I told
not,
you cooperation is
Go,
yes,
key,
I
baby.
tell you.
yeah.
And it is my belief that with all this bad news, the doom and gloom, that there is in fact an alternate reality to this as well.
Yes.
Already, yes, it's here. It's just not perceivable when you're in all of the distraction.
Yeah.
And that's why they're having to work. That's why they're working overtime to project these different scripts that speak to their wants and needs, whoever they might be. There's many categories of them, but they're all working in conjunction to do these shifts. Why? Because they're already picking up on the fact that this year and the year to come, which is not really this year. The year to come will really start, in spring. That's when it will really start the new year. With nature, they know the cosmic events that are coming. So they're really honing in on people's energy right now, projecting and in agreement, getting people to agree with a topic or a subject, or, that consent is so powerful for manifestation of something or of a projection of an intent. So that's happening now. So we can be really digging into that energy. It's worked for them. That's
Yeah.
obvious. There's
And
no
also
need.
too, we've got that big solar eclipse that's going to complete that big
Yeah,
X.
that's in April of
Yeah,
8th. Yeah.
Yeah. We
If
that'll
any
be
of
right,
you
right
are
for the new year. Yeah,
now,
yeah.
we're perfectly situated. Lynn and I will be going, we're only an hour away from totality.
wow.
And we're going to talk more about this. I'd like to get other people on that we can really talk, because this eclipse for the United States is, I believe it's prophetic. I mean, it's painted the X now. I mean, X marks the spot.
That's what I'm seeing.
Yeah.
That's what I'm seeing. But
And
we can we can literally focus that energy into addressing all four corners, turn it into a cross, and
I
manifest out.
think that if we could get together at the
Yeah.
moment of the eclipse and you could do a group session at using that energy, I think there could be
Woo-wee.
some.
That would
Exactly.
that's
Woo!
like, woo, get me
Feeling
there.
really flush now.
I'll
Thank
make
you.
love to the ground. I'll
But
work
I'm
it. I'll
telling
work
you,
it,
I
baby.
believe we could kick some cosmic butt.
Oh,
That's
that
exactly
energy.
what. And then it's so funny. What have we been talking about? The serpent. Okay, what is the serpent? What I see as a serpent, the Ouroboros is the cosmic serpent.
Yeah.
So this will affect the entire cosmos, is how big it can go.
I think if we got together and, all began to connect, and then we feed upon that energy, because the last time I was at the eclipse there in Wyoming, I caught that portal opening up.
Wow.
Well, I'll
That's
show the
right.
pictures again.
Oh, I
Yeah.
remember that was the
Uh,
most amazing eclipse pictures I'd ever
that,
seen. You did
that,
catch a portal.
that freaking pyramid that opened
Was
up, I
amazing.
mean, just fucking blew my mind away. I
Wow.
mean,
Yeah. Wow.
like, holy crap.
That
Uh,
was literally, Wayne, that was one of the most profound eclipse pictures I've seen over that whole period of time. And I've seen some really amazing ones, beautiful ones. People are so creative, holding the eclipse in their hands, showing a sword through the contrail, made the sword of the and go right through. It was so many beautiful images, but yours literally was it literally, whoa, when I saw it, it took me back.
It,
It was like I felt the energy of that portal. I was like, holy moly, wow.
give me
That was,
1 second and some people are going, what are you all talking
oh, you
about?
guys, this is an
Yeah.
amazing
Uh,
capture. Wayne caught multiple pictures of this prism that opened up beneath the eclipse. It was amazing. It was powerful.
it was pretty powerful. I mean, yeah, I mean, it was blew my mind.
All the other pictures, I didn't feel the energy that I did when you showed me that picture of that eclipse that you
I'll have to
captured.
pull that up and try to find that. Yeah,
It is quite amazing.
quite
Yeah, if
amazing.
we can do it next time, but yeah, it's a
Let's do
beautiful.
that. I'll pull
But
that
look
up
in
next
your
time.
archives and look
Yeah.
when the eclipse was, because it was the
Mm.
big eclipse of, what was it,
September
2014?
17th,
There you go. Look in his things, and he's
2017.
amazing. Yeah,
Yeah,
amazing pictures.
yeah.
Amazing. And we're
Well, this
coming
has been a
into another
great
one, guys.
show.
Another portal. This is another portal.
Yeah,
You
I
are spot on with that. This is when we need to make it happen.
now
We
this
need to
is weird
build.
when you think about this because in 2017 we lived in Colorado. We had no plans. It was not anything in our plan, but now we're here and now we're only 50 miles away from the total totality again.
I know. And you
Hmm,
caught the portal on your camera.
what the
I
hell is
didn't
all
see
this
anybody else
about?
capture it. Not like you did, Wayne. Not like you did. That was like, what?
It's that page of wands energy, isn't it? You just you've got your wand and you're not going with a compass. You're just feeling the energy and being directed to where you need to go. And
My
reading it.
sword is my compass.
That's
Yeah,
right.
yeah, just feeling your way, and you find yourself there every single time. But
All right, ladies, we have this has been really another great show. Even when we get in those moments where, you're, and I can speak for myself, you're just uncomfortable because you don't know, you know, do you get that information? Did we use it? And then, yeah, and yet we roll with it.
Yeah.
no words, no names, no, it's ridiculous, but it is what it is,
We're
there's
gonna have to
no.
start doing it by kisses, like that means this
Yeah,
and
yeah. Well,
this
that's it.
means
And
that,
Right.
I can
Right.
guarantee, I think when
this
you watch
means
it back,
this.
there's no names
No.
mentioned, no nothing, no physical, because what we've talked about can be applied in every layer of life, conflicts that you have in the shopping center with people that can't control themselves, the same way you would have conflicts with a police officer, we're seeing it on every layer of life. So I don't think we mentioned any names or we
I don't
just
think
put
we did either.
perspectives
No,
you choose,
we tried
just
very hard to
perspectives.
avoid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're
We
just
love it.
human. Hey,
Yeah.
Brenda,
Totally.
how are you, my dear? Street
And
Mom
we're
is so many good people.
contemplating all the wonderful potentials and possibilities of all the information that people are
Yeah.
talking about and making conclusions based on our own assumptions, but none of this is
Plain dot to
It's
dot.
all
evident.
speculative until it
Yeah,
comes to pass or
that's
not.
right. Yeah,
On
all
Solstice
speculative.
energy.
Yeah.
What's the matter?
All right, everybody. Well, we love y'all. We'll meet again into the new year. So, ladies, if I don't
Yeah.
see you before then, have a good
Happy
one.
New Year.
Yes, I can do that. There we go. See you. Here we go.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do the cha cha cha. Do it. Do it. Yeah. There, a true
Love you all.
story. Where my cousin lived, she lived two doors down from Tom Hanks. And anyway, there was this graduation where their son and Tom Hanks' son were graduating. And I sat right next to him. That guy was cracking my ass up, and it was like 98 degrees out there. He did this thing with his fingers, like, they had their little baby there, and
Yep. Yep.
I really am intelligent. But
Yep.
anyway. All right, everybody. Much love to y'all. Happy New Year's. If we don't see you, I plan on being on here tomorrow. And I won't be here on Thursday because I'm taking a little journey. But I'll be back most likely on Friday. So,
Nice.
ladies, I love you both. Love this
Love you.
audience.
Love
And
you, Davina.
thank you so
Love
much, all of
you,
you.
love you,
Just,
everyone.
yes, we'll see you next year for sure. We will, as a group, see you next year. Yeah, that's it.
Happy
All right.
solstice. Happy
Happy
solstice.
solstice and
Yeah.
full
Happy
moon
Happy
day.
solstice.
solstice.
12
And
days of solstice. Be blessed. Be blessed. They love all
Wear
of
it like
that.
wear it like you own it. There we go.
Wear it like